What's up, guys? So I just finished watching episode 15 of Akame Got Kill, and here's what happened. We start off our episode watching some aristocrat-style guy in the main city looking down from his perch at the peasants, basically just going, ah, peasants. So it's at this point that a blonde girl in a maid's uniform walks in and she's like, I'm here for your massage, and he's like, rub me down. But instead of rubbing him down, she pulls out a needle from her mouth and stabs him in the neck. A second later, she transforms and we find out it was Chelsea the whole time. But just then, some members of the Jaeger force come in, bust down the door, and they're like, gotcha, bitch. Only she's not there, so they walk up to the body and they check it and they're like, oh, yep, for sure, that's a body. Then they leave. As soon as they do, the camera pans down to a basket of kittens and we see that Chelsea transformed into a kitten. She then goes to inform the Night Raid that the Jaeger force somehow knew she was going to be there, so there's a leak somewhere. Back at Night Raid headquarters, they're having dinner, which is basically just a big comic relief scene. Then we move back into the study or the library or the dining room or whatever the hell it is, and the story progresses. The Violent Commando informs everybody that there's like a religious sect to the west that's planning on attacking the capital, and in that time, that everybody should band together and attack. She then goes on to explain that some of the cities outside of the capital that are loyal to the capital actually have insurgents from like the Night Raid and the rebels in there that are kind of working to change things, and that everybody's ready to make a move. But she also explains that the capital has their own insurgents and they have to go in and do something about them, basically take them out so that none of this gets back to the capital beforehand. We then get a little bit of backstory on Tatsumi when he starts explaining that the religious group that like wants to go after the capital one day went to his village and gave them the little statue that the village eventually gave him that stopped Akame from killing him in the first episode. They also talk about Mine a little bit more and the fact that she's like half native to the land, like one of her parents was one of the natives that Esdeath like murdered when she was murdering everybody, and so I guess she's, you know, half that, so that's cool. So they basically come up with a plan to attack the city from 3 different angles and lead the Jaegers out to somehow kind of distract them and take them out one by one. Cut over to the Jaegers and we see the girl with the machine gun arms and the little dog, and she has like 3, I guess, thieves in custody, and she's like, hey, you're thieves, I'm gonna kill you. And they're like, no, please don't kill us, all we stole was food because we're starving. And she's like, oh, so you admit to stealing, fantastic. Dog, sick 'em. So the dog bites 2 of them in half, and then the third one, which is a girl, is like, no, they forced me to help them because of reasons and stuff. And so the girl's like, no, I completely understand, they forced you to, that's messed up. But you still did it. She then tells the dog to bite her metal arm, which somehow turns it into a blade, and she kills that girl too. A couple minutes later, she's walking away and Wave shows up and he's like, hey, where are the prisoners that we had? And she's like, and he's like, you killed them, didn't you? And she's like, man, I really love destroying evil. I hope we can continue doing it at this pace. Ha! And just walks off. Crazy. So she walks ahead and Wave's like, man, I really hate this. I understand this shit's corrupt, but I owe some kind of debt to the capital, so I'm gonna be a good soldier and pay off my debt, even though I really hate what's going on. Cut over to Esdeath and she finds out that the Night Raid has been spotted going 2 separate ways in 2 separate groups. So she rounds up the Jaegers and they all start talking about it, and they're like, you know what? This really could be a trap. Like, they've never been spotted before. Why would they be spotted now? And she's like, yeah, no duh, this could be a trap, but this is also one of the first leads we've had on the Night Raid in a very long time, so we have to go check it out. So they mount up and head out, but what they don't know is that outside of the capital, there were a couple rebel spies paying attention, and they send word to the Night Raid beforehand using like a carrier hawk. Cut back over to the Night Raid, and they're all in swimming suits in a river for some reason. When the hawk arrives to the Violent Commando with a note attached to it. She reads the note and it basically says that at the rate they were traveling, it's gonna take like a day and a half for them to reach them. So she gathers the troops together and basically goes, yes, our plan worked, let's head out. Cut back over to the Jaegers and we see Wave, the Gimp, and Akame's sister hanging through like a canyon area with a big straw man at the end of it. They're all understandably confused when from the top we see Mine lining up her shot on Akame's sister. She takes the shot, but Akame's sister sees it coming somehow and dodges out of the way. And just then the straw man turns into the human Imperial Guard guy. He comes out of nowhere and just bashes Wave in the head, sending him flying. The Gimp and Akame's sister turn to face him when all of the Night Raid collapses on them. Basically what happened is they had convinced Esdeath to split up her group, the Jaegers, in 2 different directions to chase the Night Raid in the 2 different directions they said they were going. But really the Night Raid was all in one location, and now they're going to try to take out 3 of the Jaeger force with 6, 7, however many of the Night Raid there are. They go on to reveal that Wave, while a member of the Jaeger, isn't really one of their targets because Tatsumi says he's a good guy and stuff. So really, they're just there to kill Akame's sister and the Gimp. Akame goes face to face with her sister and the 2 share some words before her sister summons like a big dark ball of lightning. Only it's not really a ball of lightning because it's not like shocking anyone, but it is raising the dead. Most of the dead just look like black shadow figures, but one of them is a big skeleton of a danger beast, which, if I'm remembering the name right, I think is the same danger beast that Esdeath drank the blood of to get her powers. So basically Akame's sister is summoning a bunch of stuff that I don't think Akame's blade can kill, so kinda she's the yin to her yang in terms of what their swords can do, even though swords look almost identical and the sisters look almost identical, they're pretty much polar opposites. So with Akame's sister basically having an army, the odds are a little bit more even now, and that's where our episode ends. As far as the series goes, it's starting to get a little bit more back on track. It's progressing, it's not super great. I mean, there was no real fighting in this, and there was that weird swimsuit moment, but it is getting more on track, and in the next episode there's gonna be fighting. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna die, because at the end of this episode, Akame's sister's like, I wonder who's gonna die, so, you know, foreshadowing? But there's still a lot of problems with this episode. Like, for one, that bikini scene. I think that the Night Raid did it so that people would, like, see them, and then they would spread the news to Esdeath and stuff. It was basically just like a big distraction so that people would notice them in bikinis, but that seems really stupid because most of the wanted posters that they're actually all of the wanted posters that the Night Raid is on show them in like their battle gear. So they would be in, I mean, just logistically speaking, more recognizable wearing the exact same shit they're wearing in the posters that everybody knows them by. So why would you get in bikinis for this? It doesn't make sense. If they wanted to show fan service, they could have just said that. They could have just straight up said, hey, we're about to show fan service in like big kanji, and I would have respected it more because at least it's up front and not some like thinly veiled shitty excuse that doesn't even make sense to the storyline. But what we get is a big bikini scene for no fucking reason. Another thing is how easily Wave was just like completely taken out. Basically, the big human arms guy just punched him like once or hit him once, whatever, and he went flying, and like we didn't see him again for like 5 minutes. Like there was another 5 minutes of episode and he just was gone. And then there's the fact that Esdeath like fell for this in the first place, although part of me is starting to think that maybe she didn't, maybe they're like hiding in wait. But if that's the case, why would Akame's sister like summon an entire army? So, I mean, if Esdeath did fall for this, that doesn't like, I don't know, that strikes me as odd. You would think that they would do the same thing that the Night Raid did and all go after one group of Night Raid instead of splitting off to go after both. But they split up, and I guess this is what happened. And then there's the Night Raid's plan like in and of itself. Why would you go after the Jaegers before taking out the people that are clearly leaking information within the rebel forces? It just doesn't make sense. If you want to catch them by surprise, you take out any information that they could be getting. I mean, yeah, that's probably how they got the information that they were splitting up in the first place. They probably use that to their advantage. But still, I don't think fighting the main force right off the bat is really a good idea at all. But, you know, whatever. So again, this episode had a lot of logic flaws and a lot of stuff that made no sense, like the bikini scene, which basically just made this episode like the generic Hot Springs episode that you would see in almost every other anime, although they already had a Hot Springs episode with Chelsea. Whatever. And the last thing I'm gonna say about it is for the last 3 episodes now, we've been waiting for some fight, some big fight that's been promised. So if I do not get a big fight, because let's be honest, I'm not caring about the storyline, I just want to watch somebody die. So if we don't get a big fight and someone doesn't die next episode, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be super pissed, because that is the thing everybody's talking about. Oh my god, the deaths and so mature and so much fighting. Really? Really? Where? For 3 episodes, nothing. So, where is it? It better be in the next episode. Anyways, guys, those are my immediate thoughts. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and peace.